A traumatic event that transpires in our lives. Severely traumatic events cause our brain to go into a natural defense mechanism, and in so doing, the brain shuts down. It begins to turn off because it does not want to remember what's going on in this traumatic moment. Not only does it affect our memory, it will affect our ability to speak of it. The thoughts of that event now become scattered in our mind. They are unfinished thoughts and ideas, circles that don't complete, fragments of memories and images, sensations and smells, words that are stored in our unconscious mind. They live in us. They then will be brought to the forefront at some other event, perhaps a smell, a song, some sense that will bring to life this thing that has no conclusion, because there's nothing that frustrates the human mind more than something that's not complete. We need it to finish. We need the story to finish. Somebody comes up to you and says, "You're not going to believe what I heard about them." Don't leave me hanging, bro. What'd you hear about it? Come on now. I need the story to have an ending. But since trauma in your brain shuts down, leaving gaps in your memory, now your subconscious mind, whether you recognize this or not, is constantly circling, trying to figure things out to make sense of things that don't seemingly make sense. And so because of this need to have endings, we have this frustration. And even though you might not realize it, subconsciously it spins in your mind. The medical world would call it a traumatic reenactment syndrome or repetitive compulsion, an attempt for this unconscious brain to replay unresolved things, to finally get it right in your mind, And since it cannot do that, it becomes something that dwells within you. It dwells within you. The memory has not been lost or forgotten. The event has just been buried in a deep place. There are so many different types of tragedies, as I made reference to earlier, that happen to us in life. The abandonment, abuse, suicide, and war. The early death of a child or spouse, a sibling, whatever that might be, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, or physical abuse. It's part of you. It's part of you. What's interesting, though, is I study people because people are my business. And what I've discovered in my studies of people is that what's interesting is that science is now discovering that in order to understand the full human in its context fully, you have to study that human being back to its third generation. So if you were to sit down in a psychologist's office on his couch, the discussion would begin with your father and mother. It would move to your grandfather and your grandmother. And they would want to know, both paternal and maternal, what happened in their lives. They're trying to